Welcome back, Wavesa, and today I had a plan for a different video, but over the weekend I noticed something, and it was that my subscriber count finally cleared 500. I would like to say a big thank you to everyone who subscribed, and that I really appreciate it. It's been quite the journey here on YouTube, just starting out a couple weeks back, and it's nice to see all the support and how much everyone has enjoyed the content and appreciates me putting it out there. I would also like to say that thank you for everyone who wanted to get the Discord up and running. I think it's going to be a really cool thing for everyone in the Tau community to be able to talk over their different game strategies, to show their art that they paint with their models, and to discuss lore and fun new things like that. So thank you very much for everyone who wanted to and has joined in and making it such a lively and positive community. I really appreciate it. And so for today, I figured that since this is my first sphere of expansion into 500, I will give you my first story of expanding the sphere of Tau influence by my first 1,000-point game. And if you know anything about me at this point, it's that I love my melee, so I definitely threw some of that in there too. Anyways, my first game was against Chaos Space Marines. And this was in a time where they still only had 1 wound per Space Marine and then 2 wounds for their Terminators. So I was up against a guy who had a healthy list of a Demon Prince that he'd lovingly kitbashed. It was very impressive. A troop of Khorne Berserkers in a Rhino, some Night Lord Terminators to drop in from Deep Strike, and a smattering of other Marines, and I think some Obliterators to hang around at the home objective, or skulk off to some others. But I digress. So what happens is, I, for my first 1,000-point list, snagged 2 box sets of the Start Collecting. So what I'd done is I kitted out all of my Fire Warriors with pulse rifles, because I thought that was the best thing at the time. I was like, breachers, you get too close, you'll die. Pulse rifles are the way to go, but I digress. And from there, I made one of my ethereals on Shi. I kitbashed it on Shi. I messed with his pose and whatnot, and I gave him a shield generator because that's what he had in his weapon options, and I gave him like a sword, a power sword from the Vanguard Veterans kit. So he looked pretty on Shi'd up, and then I also kitbashed myself a Cadre Fireblade out of the other ethereal from the Start Collecting box. And then I made myself a Crisis Suit Commander out of one of the other options of the Crisis Suits, and my 5 other Crisis Suits was my Crisis Suit Bomb that I was going to deep strike down and blow away any resistance in my opponent's backfield. So the game starts out, and at this point in time, you're allowed to field your Fire Warriors in squads of 5, not 10. So I split each of my squads up into 5-man squads, and I put one on my home objective, the rest in the flank hiding in a ruin, along with my cadre and on Shi. And the plan was I was going to have my left flank push up and take the left objective, and I was going to have my Crisis Suits deep strike down in the back and obliterate whatever the heck was on my opponent's home field objective, and after taking that out, I just hang out there and then move into the center, so like little pincer claws take over. My opponent, wonderful guy, he actually that day bought me or pitched in $60 to buy me the Tau Codex for the time. Wonderful guy, definitely got me into the hobby a lot more, always a genius when it comes to lore and painting and the game strategy. Wonderful chap, and he was giving me my first good game, so shout out to him. I won't say his name for privacy reasons, but wonderful guy. So after that, he put, in response to my little brick of Fire Warriors going up the left flank, he responded with the Rhino and all the Khorne Berserkers. He's like, all right, you're going to come run up at me. I'm going to put my Rhino down and send all my Khorne Berserkers up, and they're just going to eat you alive. And he put his Demon Prince in the center to go clean up anything in the midboard, and because like, oh, pulse rifle fire won't do nothing. And then he also put his Obliterators along the back, and maybe some other like little Marines to take the right flank objective. And also he had his Terminators to come deep strike down. And so it was going to be who could deep strike better and kill what they needed to faster and clear out a bit more. So I'm pretty freaked because I'm like, oh gosh, this is scary. A lot of big chaos things on the other side of the table, but nothing we can't handle. And the roll off comes. I gotta admit, I don't remember who went first. I think I got first turn, and I send my little Fire Warrior brick up the left flank, and they shoot up the left flank, and I've got on Shi and the cadre bringing them up from the rear, but I don't really have any targets to shoot at, so it's just like advances the order of the day, and they sit there, and they're like, all right, the objective is within reach. Come the next turn, we'll get it. And then it's his turn, and he moves his Rhino up. So we got the Rhino sitting on the objective. Oh, and I forgot, my Fusion Commander was also with my Fire Warrior squads and on Shi. I was like, we'll keep them all together in case, to buffer against the Berserkers on the other side so that, if I need to, I can have the commander time up instead of getting killed. I send all them up the flank. He brings the Rhino out, so the Rhino's like front and center right there, and I'm a little worried because I'm like, oh gosh, That's where all the berserkers are. If I pop it, all the berserkers get out, but I have to kill it in order to get on the objective. And in this edition, you couldn't move your transport and your units immediately get out. Only certain factions had that ability in their transports. So turn 1, Chaos moved up, and I almost forgot. They did have a sorcerer in like Terminator armor or something like that, but what happened was turn 1, he cast a spell and he rolled double 6s to succeed, which means, for those of you who remember when there was a psychic phase, he Perils of the Warped, which would have killed him. So he decided to command point reroll it, which proceeded to give him double 1s, which means he failed to cast the spell, and he also perils of the warp, so he killed himself anyways. It was hysterical. So we don't really talk much about him, but it was definitely an early good moral victory for the Tau. So I moved my guys up, called this thing, because my fusion commander is the exemplar of the Mont Ka, which in this edition meant that you could make any movement, and then you could shoot like normal. So I launch all my fire warriors up into like the next like little barricade ruin area. I advance them all in. They get all like 4, 5s, and 6s. Wonderful stuff. My fusion commander just flies normally because he's got a 10-inch move, so he's just like out booking everybody. Anshi and my cadre do the same thing, and my fusion commander like gets up nice, close, and personal right next to the Rhino and fires all of his fusion guns. Hitting on 2s because he's enclaves, rerolling 1s. We pop the Rhino, and out from it comes all the Khorne Berserkers. There's like 10 of these guys. Scary stuff. And so I look at my fire warriors and the cadre, and I'm like, all right, boys, you're up. And they unload. And I know what you're thinking, like pulse rifles into power armor these days, it's not that impressive. You'll feel like 1 or 2 Marines. Yeah, well, see, the thing is, I had 15 guys within rapid fire range, so they're shooting 30 times. They're rerolling 1s because they're Farsight, and they're within like the inches that you need to get the Marker-Light reroll 1s. They have a cadre right behind them, which gives them an extra shot each. So in reality, I've got 45 shots plus the cadre, and oh yeah, they had like some drones and stuff too. 45 shots hitting on 4s, rerolling 1s. Into a 10-man squad of Khorne Berserkers. And the extra fun part about this is, even though they save on 3-ups, this was an edition where the Berserkers only had 1 wound, so every fail was a dead Berserker. And I cut through those suckers. It was pretty dang bad. I left, I believe, 4 standing, and my fusion commander was left staring at those 4, and I was like, well, I can kill him in combat, I think. I've got 2 attacks with my fusion blades, and I've got 2 attacks with my normal battlesuit fists. Let's go get him. And so, upon clearing away all of those Khorne Berserkers, I charge my fusion commander in, and he butchers 2 of them. So there's 2 Khorne Berserkers left. And they swing back, and do a couple wounds. They're like down to 2, 3 wounds left. I get hurt pretty bad, but the fact of the matter is, I hold the objective now with all my fire warriors on it, and all the Khorne Berserkers are dead except 1 who's locked in combat with my fusion commander. So we're chilling right about now. Oh no. 2 left in combat with my fusion commander. He rolls leadership on them. 1 runs away. Great times, great times. So I'm just standing there like with this Berserker champion staring down my fusion commander. It's like, all right, beat you down my fusion blades next turn. So then it's my opponent's turn too. And he's like, shoot, I really need to recover the situation because I lost all my Berserkers to just pulse rifle fire. So he deep strikes his Terminators back behind my fire warrior gun line. And he's like, all right, try 2 up saves on for size. But Anshi and the cadre fire blade are the ones holding up the rear. So before he can get to the fire warriors who are a bit ahead of them, he has to get through Anshi. So I'm afraid that he's going to just charge in and mince up Anshi until I look at Anshi's little data sheet. And on the data sheet it says you can pick a variety of ways you can fight. In one way, he gets extra armor penetration to his attacks. And in another way, he gets to reroll any failed invuln saves. Anshi has a 4-up invuln. I choose, because I've got 5 Terminators coming crashing down on him, to reroll all of his invulns. So the Terminators get in, and I save about 50%, as is expected, with the 4-up invulns, and then I save even more. Rerolling, just Anshi is tanking every single Terminator shot. Imagine just like dodging, weaving in between all the Night Lord's axes coming down, want to cleave him, and he'll like punch back a little bit, but he doesn't have any AP on his staff, so he doesn't kill anything. But like the fact of the matter is, he's keeping them there, and he keeps them there for a long time. So my turn 3 comes down, and I'm dropping my crisis suits in, and I see the obliterators, and they get obliterated by my crisis suits. Awesome stuff. In fact, I overkill them so bad, I had like extra fusion shots that were in range of his Demon Prince that I was like, hey, I was gonna like shoot these at him, but he had like protection because of like the freaking, like, it was weird how like you could attack characters back then. It wasn't like attach a squad or whatever. It was like they had to be within so many inches of another unit and stuff like that, but that's besides the point. And he was like, no, you're not going to kill my Demon Prince. I need something. Goodness. But I charge them in, actually, and they tie up submarine and start beating on it with their advanced targeting systems like I talked about in my last video. And I get to choose to fight next because you alternate. It's like chargers first and then alternate. And then I'm like, oh, Anshi will swing into the Terminator because I'm like, oh, I'll be able to kill the Berserker. But that was kind of stupid to me. So Anshi doesn't do anything to the Terminators. He chooses the Berserker to fight next, and he cuts my commander down to 1 wound. I'd use a CP reroll to get the invuln back up, with him bringing his big old chain axe bearing down on him. It was bad. But he lived, and in response, he cut down the Khorne Berserker champion. Beautiful. And the Terminators, once again, don't kill Anshi. He's like at 2 wounds still. Like they get a couple through, but he's living. He's alive. He's fine. Which gives me enough time to focus my efforts on the Demon Prince in the center of the board. And it's his turn. And so the Demon Prince decides, all right, screw it. I'm not going near those pulse rifle guys anymore. I'm not going up against the Fusion Commander. I'm going to go take out my home objective back. And he charges back and cleaves through 2 of my suits, just with the psychic attacks. And then he goes in and chops 2 more up in melee combat. And I've got my last one there. And I fail the leadership check, and he runs away. So I send my Fusion Commander after him. But he'd moved in such a way that my Fusion Commander wouldn't be able to catch him within time. So there wasn't any big epic duel at the very end like I kind of wanted. But he was nice enough that we put him next to each other at the very end of the game, and we just had him throw hands. It was fun, but I digress. And yes, the Tau did win. It was a resounding victory. We thoroughly smashed our opponents, and it was definitely a good first game. Anyways, thank you again for all subscribing and supporting. I got a Patreon now, and we got a Discord now, so feel free to join the Discord. Feel free to support on Patreon, because this does take up a lot of my time, and I am a student, so it would be nice, but you don't have to. I understand. And first sphere of expansion has completed, and now we go on to the next sphere. 1,000 subscribers. We're gonna shoot for it. It's gonna be great. And by then, if I get 1,000 and I get monetized, I will definitely get you guys some battle reports for Tau on a somewhat consistent basis if I can. But I digress. So feel free to support me if you want. If you don't, that's also fine. I just want to keep creating content for everyone to enjoy. Anyways, I digress, and I hope your day goes for the greater good.